Welcome to another episode of Interviews from the Crypt. I'm your host, Adam Holtzapfel. Joining us today is Ashley Corts, the owner and mastermind behind Blackboard's Coffee Shop in Pittsburgh. Thanks for joining us, Ashley. How's it going?
Hey, I'm doing good, man. How are you?
Good. Just waiting for the work week to end.
Yeah.
So to give our viewers and listeners a little background, what made you want to start Black Forge and how did it come to be?
I've been a lighting designer in music venues throughout Pittsburgh for a little over a decade now, and I've also been a barista, same thing over a decade, where I would work a morning coffee shop job and then I would go work a show right after. So that was my day to day all throughout college. And I graduated college, pursued my lighting career, and I was just like, I kind of, you hit a point, especially for me, in the industry where you're kind of like fed up at a point and you just kind of hit a wall with your creativity and being in the dark all day and, having all the things go on, getting yelled at by random people or something blowing up because that happens.
Right.
But I said to myself, like, I think I'm ready to do this on my own and combine my own passions together, which was lighting and coffee and metal, of course. So I talked to my neighborhood, like, community development organization, the Hilltop Alliance in the Allentown neighborhood, where we opened up our first shop. And they connected me with the right people to start, like, working on my business plan and meeting people in city to, like, direct me to who I need to contact as far as taxes and everything. So I had a lot of different outlets to educate me on what I was doing because I went to art school. I didn't know anything about opening up a business. I was 24 when I opened up Black Forge. And luckily, I've been in the industries for so long at that point that it just kind of made sense to me when I was writing everything out. And I was like, I can do this. And here I am 5.5 years later.
Yeah, and I know when I discovered Black Forge is actually at the Horror Realm convention in 2017. I
Yeah.
kind of found out through there that you had the standalone in Allentown that's now branched to a second location in McKees Rocks where
Hmm.
you're able to actually do shows in McKees Rocks.
Right.
Where Allentown was kind of a hit and miss issue.
Yes. I mean, don't get me wrong, having shows there that, like, we had Full of Hell play there, and it was wild having like 70 people crammed in a 50 capacity venue, and it was awesome. So we had a lot of, like, cool shows where you felt like it was a cool, like, house show. But I mean, there was no parking. The neighbors upstairs were pissed all the time at us, and we just couldn't really fit anyone. And our landlords eventually told us, like, hey, you need to stop having shows here. And, like, it sucked because we were known for being a small capacity venue like that, and we built our name off of having shows pretty much every day of the week. Um, Even though we weren't making money on shows, it was just something that we were really passionate about, was just being able to have a space that people can safely have a show, and that's that. But yeah, that's the reason why we opened up McKees Rocks, was so we can continue to be an independent music venue here in the city and still provide a small enough space so, like, any local band can, rent the space from us because, they're able to fill a 99 capacity room, or even if they're not able to, it's still a cool spot to have a show, and, like, 10 people still feels like a lot more than, if you're in a larger area. So, I mean, and everything in McKees Rocks too is from different people in the music industry that I've worked for, which is really fun. The PA here is actually from Altar Bar.
Oh,
And
nice.
yeah, some of the lighting and stuff is from Altar. And there's like some stuff from the Rex in there. Like a while ago, they donated some lights to me and like a bunch of other stuff. But yeah, like all of Black Forge is like a hodgepodge of just like friends helping each other and different creativity things going on all at once. So we're just an interesting bunch for sure.
Yeah, and I've been to both locations several times. I know during the pandemic, it's kind of gone harder depending on the regulations, but
Yeah.
how's that impacted the coffee side of things? I know shows are still kind of up in the air, and
Yeah, like unfortunately, coffee shops and just the coffee business in general, like if you're an independent coffee shop, there's no room to be like, I'm gonna retire at 35 and like live your wildest dreams. Like people who open up coffee shops know what they're in, like what's going to happen, which is we're going to work in our shops for the rest of our lives and we're going to be happy about it because we're happy that we opened up our own business. That's essentially just how it goes, and we have coffee to keep us awake. But yeah, I'm just trying to think how I can phrase this. We are down probably like 60% than we were the previous year before COVID. So, and it was just unfortunate timing for us because like we just opened up McKees Rocks and a few months later COVID kind of happened.
yeah.
So all the shows that we had lined up and all of the stuff, like obviously we all had to cancel and all this stuff went on. I remember the day we all got shut down. It was what, March 15th, the day of the Code Orange show was supposed to happen.
Yeah, because I think the week before it was all, you heard about COVID, but didn't know the severity, and then
Yeah.
made it to the Code Orange record release at Preserving, had tickets to the show the next night, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Cause yeah, I was supposed to, we made that coffee for them and we were gonna like set up the coffee thing and all of that, but I was very fortunate enough to be able to watch in person their live stream. Because like I just had all this coffee brewed for the event. Like, what am I supposed to do? But I brought some coffee down and they all enjoyed it and it was awesome. But yeah, the reality of it is it's really hard right now. And like I'm 100% transparent when it comes to like being a business owner, because I think a lot of people can learn through my mistakes because I've made many of them. And you just kind of learn and you grow from it. But like, I haven't paid myself in like 2 months because what's more important to me is making sure my employees have a job, And I just remember I was on the road with the van and I was doing payroll and I was like, shit, here we go again. But I mean, I can live off of my tips. It's fine. I'm a college kid prior year,
Right.
so used to Doritos and ramen to get me by. But yeah, it's just the reality because like it's just like having a kid. I don't have kids, but like it's your baby. You formed it. This is like what your life is about. And you'll do anything to make it survive. And like that's the position I put myself into, and that's okay, And that was another reason what sparked the third journey of Black Forge with the van was all because of COVID. So it was just figuring out ways to be positive in a negative state,
Yeah. Yeah, like finding that little silver lining in the cloud.
Yeah.
And yeah, speaking of the van, you just spent about a week in California doing the support art stages.
Yep.
And along with the van, I've noticed Black Forge is very community focused. You have like the event featuring local creators. I forget the name of it.
The High Priestess, the all women's event.
Yeah, the High Priestess. We
Yeah.
did the prior February event of that. And you know, you had the brunches at Allentown with like the empanada, and
so, I miss those so much.
Yeah, it's like a very community based shop. What led you to kind of want to do that with your platform?
So just like the way I grew up, like we weren't well off or anything like that, and I was just taught to be humble and appreciate everything that I was ever given. And especially that comes down to like the people that I surround myself with and I'm fortunate to meet. I will say, like, 100% honestly, like I'm very, very fortunate to have the people I have in my life, and they have all helped me kind of understand at a young age, like, just be appreciative and look around you. Not everything's about you. And when I realized when I moved into Allentown in 2009, that like this is the first time I ever had like neighbors at like 19 years old or whatever. And, you know, they would always help me and like shovel my driveway, and, you know, I'd walk my dog around and everyone was super nice. And, you know, I'd walk the business district and there was nothing there. There was like an Eagle Mart, which I wouldn't buy anything from there because it was just not a great place. I bought toilet paper from them and that was really it. And then there was like a tattoo shop and a bunch of phone stores and a Chinese restaurant. And there was nothing else. So as I was thinking about opening up my business, I was like, well, we should do it in a neighborhood that we're connected to in some sort of way. Because I've always lived in Allentown or Mount Washington, in that kind of like trifecta area. And yeah, it just seemed right. Like, it just seemed, you know, it was important to me to kind of give back to the people that, you know, have helped me. Even it's like, help me carry my groceries in. At least if I see them next time, I'll remember, like, you remember 10 years ago, here's a free coffee. And that's happened a couple of times where they don't have any idea who I am. I'm like, no, you helped me with this thing, so here's a coffee. But yeah, no, my community is very important to me. And also growing up, like, I was a nerd. I got beat up a lot. I got bullied, you know, a lot of things that kids go through, and it affects you in a lot of different ways. And I always thought to myself when those things happen, it's just like, I would never do that to someone, and I would want to treat somebody the way that I wanted to be treated, you know. And that's just a true statement that stuck with me ever since. It's just treat people the way you want to be treated, and that's it.
Yeah, and that's awesome. I've noticed Allentown's kind of growing. You have like Onion Maiden there, Leon's Caribbean, Weeping Glass, which you partnered with a tea for them on. And just it's becoming its kind of its own little art, not artsy, but unique area in the city.
Yeah, it's really cool because, like, the only things that were there besides the really fancy Italian restaurant was Sweet Peaches, which was where Onion Maiden is. They had awesome food, and they did pop-ups at our shop all the time. Right when we first started. It was so good. And then Leon's was there. Work Hard was there, the collaborative space. And I think that's it. Like, I really think that's it. And then there was us in the police station. So, and that's what we got stuck with, was this weird tiny little spot next to the police station in Allentown. And you know what, like, there's always with the police station, there's so many mixed emotions about it, because it's not like we intentionally wanted it. it was just the space that was perfect for what we wanted in the neighborhood that we wanted to be in because we lived there, you know.
Right.
And if we wanted to have shows, that was the only space that would be large enough to have shows. But yeah, I mean, all in all, it's worked out really well. And just as a resident of the neighborhood over the years, I'm really proud of my community for the amount of effort that like all the volunteers have put in, and like so many different people, you know, like care about the community. They do, you know, articles about our neighborhood, and everyone just feels really good living there because they're proud. And I think that's really cool to find a neighborhood like that that had nothing. And there was no community activity. There was nothing going on because like living there, I didn't know what was going on in my neighborhood.
Right.
And now I'm fully aware, and there's stuff going on in the streets. We have those festivals outside, like the Weeping Glass holds the night markets pre-COVID, and we've done like outdoor shows and stuff like that. So I can't wait to have events again, because that's where like Black Forge thrived, is, you know, having weird, wild events.
Yeah, I know before the shutdown, I think at Allentown there's a movie night where In the Company of Wolves was playing, and then
Yep.
at McKees you had the Norma Jean show.
Yep.
Then is just everything kind of got put on hold.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about it from both perspectives on my end, because being a venue owner and also having a coffee shop. So I'm fortunate enough, and this is where my brain started turning, is this like, all right, if I was just a venue, what position would I be in? I'd be completely shut down, and I would have no way to serve anybody or to do anything because you can't have events. So I'm very fortunate to have a coffee shop as a side gig, essentially. And it's able to keep my doors open. It's able to feed my employees, and, you know, we're still going. But, you know, you take away the coffee aspect and then there's nothing. And that's all of these venues that I've worked for. So like the Rex, I worked there for years. Same with, you know, Mr. Smalls, I worked there for years. And I just couldn't sit there and watch them not do well, and being concerned for their livelihood and like what they're doing. So that's why I started the new project with the coffee van, is just because like, if I can do anything, this is where it comes from, just me deep down in my soul, where I just want to help people. I don't know what it is, but I'm always trying to find ways to help people through my means, and that's coffee. That's why I team up with artists from all over the country, and, you know, do different stuff with different bands, and all of this stuff is because like I want to help. And yeah, I just, this last couple of weeks of like truly feeling like I'm making a difference with going out on tour and everything has really brought a lot to my attention that I'm really thankful that I have now.
Ryan, you had partnered up with the Curiosities and Oddities Expos for
Yeah.
some of the cities. What was the response like to being at the expo versus, say, setting up at like a record shop out in California last week?
Yeah. So the first day of our tour was the Oddities and Curiosities Expo. And I don't know, I was busy all day. So I will say that I didn't get to walk around at all, and we were asked to not walk around and like mingle, just stay at our booths, you know,
Yeah.
limit as much as you can, this and that, you know, everyone had to wear a mask, all of this stuff, and there was no issues. Every customer that we had was super great. All the people running the event was super great. And come here. And yeah, I felt safe, and it was, I think we did a couple hundred cups of coffee that event. So that was really good, especially never going out to California before. And people are like, oh, I heard of you before. And I'm like, oh shit, that's really cool. But everyone was super, just so nice and so like cool and appreciative of what we're trying to do, because even at the Oddities and Curiosities Expo, we're selling those SOS coffee bags where the 20% is donated to venues.
Right.
And as soon as I told people, like, you know, here's my mission banner, you know, this is the coffee and what we're trying to do, they were like, this is the best thing ever. I'll absolutely do that. And it was just a really good response we got. Same with doing, for example, we did Alex's Bar in Long Beach, which is a pretty cool venue. Unfortunately, I've never seen it have shows, but from walking in there and meeting the owner, I mean, the place is awesome. And, you know, just even having random people, because someone wrote an article about us in Long Beach, about us coming through. So we had a decent amount of people every day, and they're all like, yeah, I saw this article, or I watch your social media or something. So it's like, okay, good. Like this is something positive. And I honestly went out there thinking that, like, you know, I say hi to a couple of people and maybe talk to some people, but I have really low standards. So anything makes me really happy.
And yeah, once you got back, you had kind of driven around the city and given out free coffee to people along driveways, and you know, did that kind of make people do a second take, like, you know, we're in a pandemic, or
yeah, no, it was definitely like we had a lot of mixed responses, but you know, from the tour, I mapped everything and did all this stuff, and I had some extra product left over from the Save Our Stages coffee, or Support Our Stages coffee. And I had like 15 pounds of it left. So I was like, you know what? Because we go through our coffee so fast usually, and we don't like to have anything longer than a month that's roasted. We sell out of it pretty fast. That's why we do everything small batch. But I was like, well, I don't want this to go bad, so I'm just going to go drive around and see who wants coffee from a stranger out of a minivan kind of deal, you know? It was pretty funny. Like, I mean, luckily for me, I'm not very intimidating, but I just like stuck my head out the window like, hey, it says Black Forge Coffee on the side. I'm not crazy, but do you want a free coffee? And a lot of people are like, wow, really? Cool. But some people are like, who are you? This one guy was just like, who are you associated with? And I was like, okay. It was just like a very awkward like transition. I was like, hey, you want a free coffee? And he was like, absolutely not. Who are you associated with? And I was like, okay, sorry. But no, I mean, we stopped. Do you know like downtown, that Wood Street station?
Not really. I just moved here October 2020.
Yeah, so you still...
Yeah, so it's like right when I was getting ready to kind of go out and explore everything, it kind of shut down. So
yeah. Well, downtown, there's this Wood Street station where the subway is, and it's a bus station. And there's just a lot of like people who clearly don't have a lot in their lives.
Right.
And I mean, I used to work at a coffee shop down the street from there, and I would go out and give them free coffee every once in a while when the coffee was getting old, because you have to dump it out every couple of hours.
Right.
So I would do that, and that kind of like reminded me of like, wow, like we should go downtown and like give all these people free coffee, because it was Sunday and it was really bad out. Yeah. And the van does decent in the snow, so I was like, screw it, like I'm gonna do my best to see if I can cheer somebody up today. And even if it was 5 people, I would be happy. But we ended up giving out 200 cups of coffee, so that was really cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that was Sunday, and then I went out again yesterday, and we went to an animal hospital and a couple other stops. We tried to go to hospitals and we called them, and they were like, yeah, no, like, I was like, okay, like, I totally get it. Again, pandemic, strangers trying to give free coffee to people, totally understand. But I tried. So yeah, no, it was fun. And I plan on, like, every time I come home from tour, if I have a little bit of coffee left over, just drive it around and be like, here you go. I will be doing some SOS tour dates in Pittsburgh coming up soon too, at like dispensaries and breweries and stuff like that. So yeah, I'll be posting everyone on that too, but I still have a lot of routing to do.
Yeah, and I saw over this coming weekend, you're going to kind of be in the Cleveland, Youngstown area, the Foundry and West Side Bowl, which
Yep.
are two venues I haven't had a chance to really check out yet, but hopefully.
They're awesome.
Yeah, awesome. And
yeah, they're really awesome. The West Side Bowl owner helped me out a couple of times, and he actually delivered us pizza all the way from Youngstown. He just had one of his employees drive it out to us, and I was like, what? He's like, no, it's free. I'm like, dude, no. So obviously we hooked them up, but yeah, no, just super awesome people. And I used to tour with my friend's emo night karaoke band.
Okay, yeah.
And we did the Foundry a couple of times, so I really liked it, and they've always treated us super well. And that's what sticks with you, like, when you go to venues, is like, when you're a traveling musician or artist or gig worker or whatever, you remember those moments that you have at those other venues, and that's gonna, like, carry with you for the rest of your life. So the ones that, like, I've had really good experiences in, I reached out and I was like, hey, can I donate money to your venue? And then I gave them those codes online for people to buy the coffee with. And then yeah, I've reached over $2,500 in donations. So I'm really, really proud of that. And I was able to give my first payments out because I do it every month. And it just felt really good. Like, just to feel like that is actually going to benefit somebody in some sort of way makes me feel awesome. And it's for people that really don't have a lot of funding. Like, for a while, I know a lot of gig workers weren't allowed to claim unemployment or whatever because they were independent contractors.
Yeah.
Something weird. And I was like, wait, you're not getting paid any money? So yeah, I was like, that's just not okay. But luckily it's fixed now. But still, like, being put in that position, like, my one really good friend, like, she's a mom, a lighting designer, all of these things, and her life is depending on shows. And to watch her struggle like that was heartbreaking. So again, like, that's what plays in my brain, is like, okay, like, who could really need the help right now? And there's a lot of people. But I really care about, especially, like, kids growing up and having somewhere to see a show.
Yeah.
Because that's what has molded all of us, is like, you remember those moments when you went to your first show or your favorite band or whatever it is. And music does something to us. When you don't have venues around, how is that going to happen? And, like, even with, the SOS Act passing, I forgot how many billions of dollars it is, but think about the 15,000 venues that we have in the cities all throughout the US.
Right.
Think about all the drag bars and burlesque bars and, like, the mom and pop shops that host little kids shows, they're not going to get any of that funding.
No.
Because they're not considered a venue. So those are the places that I'm going to like, help them out. So we'll see how the rest of the tour goes. I'm excited. I'm just going to a bunch of weird places. So. But it's really cool, and I'm working on a new project right now with the bags still too. Like one of my favorite bands and my good friends in Zayo.
Yeah.
What I'm doing is sending out bags, empty bags for them to sign, and I'm getting merchandise and stuff too, and I'm gonna raffle them off. And 100% of the proceeds will go to the venue of their choice, of the band's choice. So, yeah, I'm really excited about that. Zay will be the first bag that I do. I even got a special Pittsburgh legend that's going to do one too, and I'm excited about it. But that's just, yeah, another project I'm working on. I'm trying to find more bands that, you know, are huge influencers in the music scene that would be willing to, you know, sign a paper bag essentially and send it back to me, you know.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier when bands come through your city and you're like, hey, do you want to sign this for me?
Right. I know I saw a venue near and dear to my heart in Columbus just luckily got saved because they sold Ace of Cups. Seen many shows there, and they changed hands, so I'm curious to see what happens. But
interesting, yeah. I tried really hard, and this is like nothing against them at all. I'm not speaking illy whatsoever. But I've been there many times and have always been treated really well there. Same thing. And I reached out a couple of times via email, and I was like, hey, like, I really want to help you and I really want to raise money for you. And I never heard a response. So that's because a lot of people have asked me to make a code for Ace of Cups, like a lot of their, and no one got back to me. So it's just sad because I just want to help, but
yeah.
Maybe I'll try again, because I saw their post recently about, you know, putting up their Venmo or something about donating money to them. So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
But it's also, it's weird too, because being a stranger from another city, being like, hey, here's my wild idea that I'm doing during a pandemic. Do you want to be a part of this? And like, I can't get upset when people don't email me back, but you know, it's a long shot. I have crazy ideas, and then if they work, they work, and they don't, they don't. But at least it's all worth trying.
Right, and in a way, it's kind of a throwback to like, even though I wasn't a part of it at the time, the old like tape trading days and the old fanzines.
Yep.
It's just with coffee and trying to help venues out until they get back on their feet.
Exactly. And like I said, you know, I'm not like the venue stage Jesus where I'm going to be like, I'm going to grant all of your wishes. But again, it's just like a couple of bucks is a couple of bucks, and all you have to do is share it on your social media, and like, that's it. Because even when I do my pop-ups, like, they're outdoor pop-ups, I just have like hot coffee, hot tea, our merchandise, and those bags. So it's super like COVID safe. There's no food or anything else involved. And it's just, you know, if you want a cup of coffee and a bag to support this venue that I'm at, then cool, I'm there. But yeah, all I get from the venues is just like, can I have some electricity and use your restroom? That's it. So if you have those two things, I can help out.
Yeah, and earlier you had mentioned the Code Orange blend that Black Forge had done. I'd seen you also did a blend for the Church of Satan, I believe.
Yep.
You know, how did those kind of come about? It seems like you went from being the shop that had the political punch cards to now you're working with other entities to try and make things happen in the world to better things.
It's crazy because, again, like, throughout the entire time we've been open, I've been doing wild, weird things ever since. And obviously the biggest thing was the political punch card situation. And, that, whew, I think I was 25, 26 when that happened. And then, like, I had adults writing me letters saying that they were going to kill me. I was like, Jesus Christ, what's wrong with you people? Wow. I hope all of them are looking back and they're like, Black Forge. Have you ever seen Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back?
Oh yeah.
So at the end where they fly out to meet all the people that bullied them online and they beat the crap out of them, that's what I want out of my life, but not physically hurting somebody, just standing there and being like, you were wrong, jerk.
Yeah.
But that's what I always think of, is that scenario. I love Jay and Silent Bob. But yeah, so like Code Orange, I used to work with all of them at Altar Bar.
Oh, nice.
And because they were doing stagehand stuff and obviously playing there, so I've done lights for them a couple of times at Altar Bar and Smalls. In their practice space is close to one of our shops, so they like come in every once in a while, say what's up, get a cold brew, and then go on their merry way of being awesome. And yeah, so we've done 2 coffees with them. Because we did one, what was their album that they introduced the Panther on?
Was it Forever?
Forever. I believe it was Forever. Because it had the Panther and the flames and everything. It was that album that we made a label for, and they sold it at their show.
Nice.
And then we did like a limited number of them at the shop, which was really cool. It was really funny because they sold out really fast. And then a couple of times people have sent me eBay pictures of the coffee bags for sale for like triple the price. And I'm like, damn. I was just like, you don't want to hold on to coffee for that long anyways. Just drink it and then save the bag.
Right.
But yeah, the Code Orange one was really cool, and they're just super nice people in general. Who else? Zayo, we did a coffee with Zayo, and they've played here a couple of times. Satanic Temple. One of my friends is this amazing artist, Zach Brown, and he had an art show at the Satanic Temple right before COVID. And I was like, hey man, like, who's your contact at the Satanic Temple? Because I'd like to see if they want to make a coffee, because coffee and Satan come together. And I sent them an email and they got back to me pretty fast. They're like, yeah, let's do it. So that was cool. I drove up to their secret location, dropped it all off. Really nice people. And yeah, just so much. We do a lot of collaborations. I'm working on a 420 coffee right now, so that should be fun. And I have a couple phone calls coming up this week that should be really cool too, with teaming up with a few bands. So I'm excited for that.
Awesome. And to kind of get to your in-house coffees, you have a few that stick around throughout the year, but mostly a seasonal menu.
Yep.
How do you go about like determining the flavors? Because I know some have like lavender, rose, or hickory. Like, it just seems like you can go anywhere and get a latte or a macchiato, but it's kind of a whole different thing at Black Forge.
Thank you. So, yeah, I'm really I don't want to toot my own horn, but making my drinks, like, it's kind of how I like do lighting, for example. So the colors express how I feel, right? So when I'm playing or listening to a new band while I'm doing lights for them and I don't know any of their songs, I just do the colors by how I feel and express myself that way. So when it comes to making coffee, I think about the season. I think about, the elements of what's going on. When it's spring, you think of floral, like flowers and, all those flavors. And fall, you think of hickory and spice and, so it's kind of like bartending. I've never bartended, but you just kind of play around. Like, you have to play with different textures of milks because, like, some people drink soy or oat or whole milk, and you have to figure out the proper ratios because of how the milk fat holds onto that flavor, because it tastes very different if you tried all three within each other. So it's just being mindful of your coffee and tasting your espresso and dialing in and making sure that every drink tastes the same. And with our like special shaken drinks and everything, that was more of a random idea that I had one night. I'm like, what if I did this? And it worked out. Because the first drink I ever made out of the 666 drinks is the Dragonaut, because I was listening to sleep when I was making it. So yeah, that's how I get inspired. And also, like, I pick a lot of band names and stuff. So like, let me think of an example. Weed Eater, that drink, obviously. Like, it's green, it tastes good, like, you can drink it any time of the year when it's cold. And I just love that band so much, So yeah, I just play around. Like, it's either I do it in the direction of like, all right, I'm listening to this band today. Can I make a drink out of how I'm feeling while I'm listening to it? And that's how we roast our coffee and make our blends too, is like, me and the roaster talk about, we're making this. Okay, for example, the Code Orange coffee. I said, what did I say? Make it moody. Make the coffee moody. And our roaster made it moody, and it tasted like the word moody. It was the perfect combination. So we'll listen to music and stuff and, play off of each other when we're thinking of like creating blends and all this stuff. And it's just how it makes you feel. Like when you drink a cup of coffee and you're listening to Trivium or whatever, you want to like express that. But yeah, it's just everyone's brains work differently, and mine's just about coffee and metal. So
And that's awesome. And you had also had a pandemonium blend earlier on
yep.
in the year. And I know I made like a burger rub with that quite a bit.
Nice. Really, I know, I see all your posts. They're awesome. They are awesome.
But in addition to the coffees too, you also do tea, and recently introduced the Black Magic Apothecary, I believe.
Yeah.
And yeah, it kind of seems like you're going for a one-stop shop approach to the in-store visit versus ordering online.
Yeah, it's because we're still takeout only. And even though it's lifted that you can have indoor seating, we just don't feel comfortable yet because the spikes, the spikes just happen. We're trying to like wait it out. And you get a mixed reaction from people. Like, they'll call and they're like, do you have indoor seating? And we're like, no. And they're like, well, I'm not coming. It's like, okay, that's fine. Yeah. Totally fine. But, when it's a simple grab and go situation, because who knows when we're going to be back to like normal stuff. So we try to limit as much as possible how much foot traffic comes in, but we also need foot traffic to come in to stay alive. So by adding those little elements of stuff that I've always wanted to do, like I'm super into apothecary stuff, and like, again, it's a friend of a friend, an artist that's struggling. I'm like, let's team up and make this apothecary line then, you know, stuff like that. And it's always just like, we're always interworking with everyone. And those products are really good. Even though they're black, they don't dye your skin black or your bathtub, I promise. There's also a beard bar one with goat's milk soap. Those ones are really, really cool. My buddy just used it and he's like, this is the best thing ever. He's like, I could shave with it too. I'm like, good. I don't know man products, but I'm glad it worked out. So yeah. And then we had the couples roasting event for Valentine's Day.
Yeah, like super quick, like
2 days.
like, I was talking to my wife. I'm like, hey, they have this time. I'm like, oh wait, it's gone. They have this one. I'm like, wait, do you work that Monday? And she's
I'll
like,
be doing more because we're doing it so it's like I wanted to do it timed, so it's one couple in at the space at a time, so you have your personal space.
right.
And you know how big McKees Rocks is, so it's like,
yeah.
There's enough room. You can enjoy, you know, your evening out by yourselves for 45 minutes, and the next couple kind of comes in, and then you have 15 minutes to get out. So it's like a nice hour or so changeover, and everything's just super easy to deal with. And our roaster is super excited about doing it again. And yeah, it's just a good time because we did it last year. We just did a couple last year. I think it was like 4 couples, and it went great. And everyone was just like, we should do this again. So I was like, okay, did it again. We were going to do it a couple more times before we found out COVID was happening, but you know.
What can you do?
Exactly. So I think because of how well and how fast it's sold out, I might try to plan one maybe every month or something.
Oh, nice.
You know, just so people can get out and do something, because we close at 5 o'clock on the weekends and our space is just sitting here, doesn't do anything. So why not do a couple roasting sessions for people?
Yeah, definitely. And I know that's something I kind of looked at last year, but we were in the middle of unpacking from the move. And
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're like,
we'll get you in one.
It's like, oh, once we're done with this, we can start going to shows, and then it's like, no.
Oh, I know. I know.
Yeah, it's kind of wrap up a little. I know things are kind of unpredictable, but once normalcy kind of happens, are you thinking about bringing the brunches slowly back to Allentown and like?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, we miss our brunches. We miss having art shows. We miss having just shows in general. Again, like that's just how my brain works, is just doing creative things and thinking of events and who can I help and all of these things. And I can do that through Black Forge outlets. And yeah, I just remember walking into my shop some nights and it would be a completely packed room because there was an art show going on. I'm like, damn, I miss this. Like it makes you think about, again, with the gratefulness of like, man, I should have been more grateful when that experience happened, because now I'm living in a pandemic, you know, I took that for granted.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Like, you know, we're looking at the calendar, like, oh, this show's supposedly happening, and but do we buy tickets or wait and see if things get pushed back?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, no, we'll definitely bring a lot of the stuff back. It's just when I don't know.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's kind of how everything is. It's not a matter of when, but just kind of waiting it out. And
Yeah,
And
that's all.
one last question. Did you find a lot of people gave Black Forge as holiday gifts this year? Like,
Did Black Forge get any holiday gifts?
did people come in and like purchase coffee as
Oh, yeah. No, this holiday season was awesome for us. It got us through the winter, and it helped a lot. And that's why I put the extra time in, like when we package things, and like put cute notes in them every once in a while, and like write "Stay True" on the package. It's just like the little things, I add snacks into packages sometimes too. I can't tell you how many random people I'm like, well, here's a candy bar just because I had one. But yeah, no, online sales help a lot. And that's what, I've been telling people since the beginning is just like, if you can, online sales help any small business because it's just replacing the sales that we don't have coming in off the sidewalks, So if anyone can do it and they have the means to do it, like just know that every small business owner appreciates it. Especially gift cards help a lot too. We don't get taxed for those.
awesome. And to wrap up, when you're working at the shop, what 5 albums can customers expect to hear?
Ooh, okay. Monolord is always playing. Death Clock is always randomly playing. Matt really likes Rage Against the Machine, so randomly you'll hear that. Sleep Sciences I play a lot. And is that 4?
I think so.
What other albums are always playing? Let me see what's playing right now. Hold on one second. Immortal is playing right now.
Awesome. And just want to thank you real quick for taking the time to chat. And where can people find more info about Black Forge online?
Yeah, so you can always head to our website. Everything's always there. It's blackforgecoffee.com. Instagram, we are at Blackforge Shop or at Blackforge Coffee Van. And then we have 3 pages on Facebook. If you just type in Blackforge Coffee, they'll all pop up. So
awesome. Thanks again, Ashley, and have
of course.
a great night.
Hey, you too. Thank you so much. I'm glad we were able to talk.
Yeah, same here.